Hey, Norco College new students, Mark Hartley here, Dean of Student Life. I am so excited. We're getting into an important phase of this virtual welcome day. We're talking about the schools, and we've got right now Zeta Flores representing the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences. I'm excited to interview her, get a little bit more information about what we've got going on in her school. She's an expert because she's living what these schools are all about. So Zeta, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Really excited to have you here. Hey, let's just launch in and why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Tell us about your major. What high school did you go to? Where you're from? All that kind of background information.
I'm a psych major. I graduated from Centennial High School in 2018, I believe, and I've been attending Norco since then. So I've been there. I've been at Norco for about 2 years now. I'm almost done. And I've also been working on campus as a school ambassador for about a year or so now. I say on campus because, I'm doing it from home and stuff now.
Hey, how did you choose your major? A lot of students that are coming in, they're coming in either undecided,
Mhm.
maybe they've got an idea of what their major is, but they're really not sure. What was the process for you in terms of choosing your major?
Well, lucky for me, I come from a very big and interesting family, if you know what I mean. So I've always been curious as to why my family's like that, or why anybody's like that, or however they are. So yeah, for I know it's very typical for a psych major to say something like that, but it really is interesting in the process of finding out why people function the way they function. So that's why I picked my major.
Now, do you have your siblings kind of lie down on a couch and, you kind of are, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, sometimes, like I have quite a few siblings, so we do have those moments where, like, man, what is going on? So,
Seriously.
yeah.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. That's awesome. That's awesome. So Zeta, what are some of the suggestions that you would give for someone who's coming in undecided as a major right now? What would you share with them?
As someone who's undecided, I would say, it's okay to be undecided. You might even be so lucky to be undecided because you have all these opportunities to just explore, take whatever classes you find interesting, and maybe you can even do some self-reflecting and think about what you find interesting. Like, you like video games, there's a major for that. You like people, hey, like psychology, like that's a major for you. You like environment, there's a major for you. You like photography, there's another one. That's what I would say to someone who's undecided.
I love that. And the idea of just self-reflecting and spending some time, this isn't something that a student has to jump into right away. It's okay to go in undecided, not necessarily know what you want, but be open-minded. I think that was brilliant. Thank you. So being in the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences, I think it's unique. The four different schools that we have, everything is unique. So what are some of the highlights and benefits of being in the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences?
Well, I think something that I found beneficial was just being able to study what I wanted to study, what I found interesting. But of course, there are those general ed classes that you have, like the regular language arts and math and stuff, and just get those out of the way. Then you get to start doing whatever you want. And I would say that's the same thing as any other major. Once you get those mandatory things out of the way, then you get to start doing what it is that you really find interesting.
Focusing on that, I think that's great. I experienced that as an undergrad. Everybody's got to take an English and a math and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. But as you get closer to graduation, you're taking the classes that you're totally passionate about, the
Mm-hmm.
things that you really want to study, and it really makes a difference. It's a powerful place to be when you have found your purpose and you're going after it with other people in the class that have done the same thing.
Yeah.
It really takes you to another level. It's really powerful. So there's certificate programs within each of the different schools. So tell me about some of the certificate programs within the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences.
Well, as of the moment, I actually will be graduating with 2 additional certificates, so like my associates in psychology, and then 2 certificates in early childhood development. They're really easy to obtain. One of them is, I believe it's called the 6-unit certificate. You take 2 classes out of a few other options, and then that qualifies you to be like a teacher's aide or whatever.
Yeah.
And then another one is called the 12-unit. Take 12 units of the required classes, and then you can also qualify to be a teacher's aide and stuff like that.
So this is brilliant. So you have an opportunity to get your associate's degree in your specific major, but then develop some other skills outside of that. That gives you options as you move forward. I think that's awesome. And now the class that you take for your certificate, do they bleed over to your major? Do some of them, count for both?
Oh yeah, of course. And what I found interesting in my psych classes or my childhood classes, they're all kind of the same theories and material. So once you got one thing down, you definitely have it down for the rest of the time.
So
It made it really easy.
I love it. That is really something that I think our new students should explore. Yeah, I might want to get this degree, but if I can get a couple more certificates, boy, that adds to my resume. Helps me out as I look to go to a 4-year school. Might put me in position to get a job, whether it's a summer job or a career. So I think that's brilliant, and I applaud you for going after 2 of them. That's pretty awesome. Might as well make the most of what you've got while you're here at Norco College, that's for sure. So one of the things that I think is really important for all of our students to know and to do is to explore our website and to really get involved. So when I checked out the school's webpage, specifically, your schools, social and behavioral sciences, it talked about opportunities to participate in hands-on exposure to scientific theory, research, practice. So can you tell our new students, our viewers here, about the different hands-on experiences which professors provide for their students?
An experience I had was actually during one of my early childhood classes. We were instructed to write this paper, but we had to go observe children at like a daycare or wherever you were allowed to observe them from. So I chose to go to RCC's daycare. This was back way a long time before all this stuff started going down. So it was okay. But yeah, I went down to the daycare, and they have like these little windows and stuff where you can see into the classroom, or you could go out into the playground and you just write down. It was a research paper, so you just write down the material that you needed and then go home, reflect on that material, and then type it all up.
Love it. No, that sounds great. I bet that was a fun experience for you.
It was definitely different, and I thought it was interesting because I know growing up when I was little, I went to that daycare, so it made me think like, oh, maybe someone was observing like me when I was little or something like that. Look at that
nostalgia. Wow, that takes you full circle. Boy, you were one of those little kids at that time. Man, that's awesome. So I honestly know that our students are excited to get their major. They're excited to learn. They're excited to just be better individuals. But one of the goals that students also have is, hey, I want to get a career out of this. I want to study something that is actually going to pay the bills, put food on the table, a roof over my head. I want to be independent, and I want to use my major to launch a career. So what are some of the top fields graduates from the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences are going into after they graduate from Norco College?
Well, as a psych major, I think I would like to make people aware that in psychology, you can't really get a job that puts food on the table just yet. It takes a little bit of time because, it's just an associate's degree. While that is very beneficial, usually in the field of psychology, it takes a minimum a bachelor's degree to maybe even have an internship. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not there yet. I would like to tell you, but I'm not there yet. But usually a minimum a bachelor's degree, and then of course a master's degree. But as I mentioned earlier, I do have, I will be obtaining those 2 certificates that I mentioned. So I'm hoping that those will be able to get my foot in the door somewhere. But I guess if you really, to answer the question, I guess therapy of some kind or psychiatry. I know those are very popular, but there, of course, are multiple different, multiple, multiple opportunities with this degree, of course. You just have to really look and get your knowledge on, you know?
Hey, I think that's great. Just off the top of your head, are there people on our campus where students can go to ask questions about, hey, I'm majoring in this. What other jobs, are out there? Do we have any experts on our campus that people can go to?
Well, of course, I would have to point you towards any psych professor. I know I forgot what semester I had her, but Dr. Adams,
Laura
I
Adams,
took her,
yeah.
yeah, she was really awesome. She was super nice. I felt like she was very trustworthy, and I definitely would build a relationship with her. If I had the chance to go back and do that, I totally would. Yeah, she's very nice, and she is more than willing to help her students. And I guess any school counselors as well, they're all very nice and very helpful.
So I've got one more final question for you, and I'm so grateful for all of this wisdom and knowledge that you've given. I think experience is the best teacher. And if people can learn from your experience, boy, they are in a great position. What advice would you give, kind of just in general, to an incoming School of Social and Behavioral Science student?
Well, in general, I would like to make you aware that I guess, when I graduated from high school, I thought college was going to be scary or whatever. I wasn't a very good high school student, but when I got to college, I found it a lot easier and a lot more interesting because you finally get to do what you want to do. But I would suggest that you get really comfortable with memorizing things because as I mentioned earlier, it's very repeated information. And get comfortable with writing. I know in high school you had to write papers about whatever book it was, but as a psych major or any social and behavioral sciences student, it's finally going to be interesting to write about because most of the papers are going to be about yourself or just reflecting on the material, and it's very easy to apply it to yourself and your life. I think that's what I would say.
I love it. I think that's great. A lot of reflection. Get into this major and dive into it and have fun and get good at writing. There's
Oh
no doubt
yeah.
about that. That's going to benefit any student, any major. I think that's really powerful. And, I would even throw in there and make sure you proofread your paper, have somebody proofread it before you turn it in, so this is really powerful stuff. Man, oh man.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I also would like to mention if you're taking psych, you'll have to take biopsychology. That was a really hard class. And they, of course, unfortunately, these classes are recognized as very difficult. So their failure rate is, I don't want to scare anybody, but their failure rate is kind of high. But but to go with that, they have SI teachers in it. So it has the
supplemental
professor.
instructors. Yeah.
Yes, it has someone who has taken the class before, and they sit in and basically like a classroom tutor, and they have these study sessions, or they would have these study sessions in the library. I was kind of hesitant to go because I've never been the type of student to go out of my way to study or whatever. But the class was really difficult. But I started to go, and my SI teacher was really, really nice. And she had been in this class with the same teacher before, or the same professor before. So she knew how things were. And I found that really beneficial. I was able to pass the class, thank goodness. But it was definitely one of the harder ones that I've taken so far.
I think that is brilliant advice. Utilizing our supplemental instructors, our
Hmm.
tutors, going to professors' office hours as well can really
Yes.
help a student, and really getting to know them and digging in. It's not like high school, that's for sure. And you need to take that extra step. And much like you said, it can be scary, but once you meet these people, they're just normal people. and they want to help. You know, they've either volunteered or they've taken on these jobs because they want to give back. They want to help other students because more than likely somebody helped them. And the truth of the matter is we all need help. Nobody's got it all figured out. So we need to utilize these services that are on campus and everything. I really appreciate you pointing that out. That's good stuff. So Zeta, this has been a fun time. I've learned a lot about the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences. I appreciate your time, your wisdom, your knowledge, and I'm really, really excited to see you physically on campus one day.
Yes, me too.
Hopefully this all works out, but in the
Yeah,
meantime, best of luck to you in this last year. You getting your degree, 2 certificates. You got a bright future in front of you, so I wish
thank
you well.
you.